and today we're going to do a quick devotion titled, What Does Following Jesus Mean to You? So do you remember the What Would Jesus Do movement, WWJD, right? Many years ago, it was a huge thing. The central question that people were asking themselves was simple. If Christians are supposed to be following Jesus, why aren't they making more of an impact in daily lives? The movement's answer was to imagine what everyday life would be if all of us simply talked and acted more like Jesus. Well, that could change everything, especially if we could take like a Taco Bell burrito and bless it and fill a stadium full of people with one burrito, right? But by any measure, the What Would Jesus Do movement didn't change everything. Maybe the Christian lives we think we're living are actually disconnected from who Jesus really is. It's fine to imagine what we think Jesus might do when a friend betrays us, or the test comes back with a D on it, or we break our finger in a fluke accident right before the big football game we're supposed to play in, right? But really, the whole thing desperately depends on how well we really know the true Jesus. Here's something profound. We can miss Jesus entirely by arrogantly assuming that our imagined responses to a partially understood Jesus mean that we're really following Jesus. So I want you to really quick, go find a piece of paper and a pencil. Go ahead, I'm waiting. Okay, so since this devotion is all about rediscovering Jesus, it's a good idea to consider how you currently view him, imagine him, and describe him. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write down a bunch of stuff about Jesus, anything that you want. One word or short descriptions, things that you think he said, miracles you know he performed, like, the bread and the fish, whatever comes to mind. Fill that up as quickly as you can. You may even want to write down your answer to today's question. What does following Jesus mean to you? I wrote the following things down. Jesus is kind. He is loving. He is full of grace. He is compassionate. He's forgiving. He is wise. He is a healer. He's holy. He's a teacher, a father, a savior, and he is the light of the world. Now, I want you to think about how you might be perceived by your friends and family, or even people you've just met. If you were to ask someone to describe you, what words would they use? Would they say that you're funny, that you're happy, that you're kind? Or would they say things like maybe you're negative, or you're sad all the time, or you're mean? See, as followers of Jesus, our traits should be like Jesus. If we portray ourselves to the world as Christians, but then we walk around with our friends and our families and we participate in bad behaviors, what kind of message are we sending to those people who are watching us? Are we trying to be like God on Sunday mornings when we're at church and we feel led by the Holy Spirit, and then the moment we walk out the door, we go back to doing things like saying bad words and drinking and smoking and cussing and doing all the things that we know we're not supposed to be doing, those things that distract us and keep us from God? The whole What Would Jesus Do movement was not completely lost, because I'm sure it made some people think about how to react in certain situations, and that's a really good thing. But we don't need a cheesy slogan to remember that God is full of all the qualities that we should strive to have. I know I try really hard to be some of the things I wrote on the list about Jesus. I try to be loving, I try to be compassionate, I try to be full of grace. Other things on my list I struggle with, specifically things like forgiveness and being wise. And while I don't wear my What Would Jesus Do bracelet around anymore, it is a good reminder before reacting in a situation out of anger or frustration to stop and think, how would Jesus have handled this situation? Would he become mad and yell and scream and cuss, or would he have compassion and forgiveness and grace? I think we know the answer. Practice taking a moment the next time you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling less than compassionate, and think about how Jesus would handle it, and see if that changes your attitude.